does your spiritual belief system affect the way that you interact with the environment, like recycling, energy efficiency, that kind of thing?
Composting. Composting is, I believe, one of the most important acts any human being can do, because we are replacing nutrients in the soil. We call it building new soil, but soil doesn't go away. It blows on the wind and it goes somewhere else, perhaps into the ocean, and unreachable. But just like water, it's not going to go away, it's going to change form. And in our constant feeding from the earth, and we have to, everything does, to return nutrients is a sacred act. It is a conscious, deliberate act of worship to compost, to take the food scraps, not meat. Meat and bone rot in a different way from vegetable matter, and they do better handled in a different manner. But to take the clippings from whatever you're doing, or the leftover dinner or whatever, and deliberately put it in a position with sufficient soil and the whole thing, so that it can begin to return to a place of nourishing soil, is, to me, one of the, it seems so simple. Now, my feeling on recycling has been colored a great deal, and I think differently from what I did 25 years ago. I still think it is a good idea, but I'm not at all sure it's doing any good in the long run. If we keep creating stuff, and we do keep creating stuff, ultimately, recycling is still going to swallow the earth. So the recycle, yes, we talked about these water bottles and using them again a number of times, but even more important is use less stuff. And there was, I was born just as the Depression was getting started, and coming up as a child, it was a time when a lot of people were hungry. It was a time when men were leaving their families in hopes that the neighbors would feed them, and the men were going out to look for work, and a lot of other things. But there was not throw away anything there. In that time period, you used a dish rag, you used a drying cloth perhaps, and when these two items had been used in the kitchen as far as they would go, they would then become rags for scrubbing the floor or something. And when they had gone as far as they could go there, remember, this would be made of cotton. It could once again go into the earth to dissolve and carry nutrients. Though I don't know that we thought about it then. But people didn't have as much. I have, as you know, a particular fascination for what we call broomstick skirts. And had this time been that time, I might have 2 or 3. I would not have the number I have now, which I'm going to give away at the birthday party. But reduce, this is also, reduce your needs. What do I really need? Do I really need to have oranges year-round? Think of the expense, money expense and environmental expense of shipping those oranges from Turkey or wherever they are to your grocery store. Do I really need that? Do I need a wide variety of foods? Can I live more simply and therefore not use up so much? This is also, to me, this is part of my sacred life, is saying, I'm not to where I want to be, which is living in a sustainable situation, meaning everything there circles back, and we harvest, we eat, and we return it to the earth. I'm not there yet, but I work toward that. But one of the basic sacred things to do is reduce your use of things. Reduce the stuff. Reduce traveling, maybe. I'm a fine one to talk, because in order to do my work, I have to travel. But reduce, reuse, 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 until it has disintegrated into nothing. If it's not going to, then recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle. So recycle kind of comes at the end of that. Reuse everything as far as you can. I am reminded of a story that is in a book. Back in the Second World War, at one point we were told by the government that everybody was going to be confined to having only 4 tires and 1 spare. So people were to turn in to collection centers everything over 5 tires, that they were going to be used for the war effort. And in this particular story, there was a man who, on a cold, cold winter night, was complying with this, and a friend said, well, it's too cold to go out, you know, it's dangerous. And he said, no, they said to have everything in the collection center by tomorrow. And so he did it, and he got pneumonia, and he died. 30 years later, 50 years later, whatever, his widow was going cross country in a train, and from a great distance she saw what looked like a mountain. And as they got closer and closer and closer, she realized it was human-made. It was tires. And she asked someone, maybe the conductor on the train, and he said, oh, that's all the tires they collected during the Second World War. They had nothing to do with them after they collected them. Recycling may not be the way to go. We have to think first of cutting from, in a sacred manner, cut our use of everything. When you've done that, then reuse, and every day say, thank you, lady, for teaching me that I need to be related to everything around me and not take up all the nutrients and all of the available space and everything else.